There. So I had a great question submitted to me today by one of my amazing private coaching clients. And it was such a great question that I thought I would share my answer to her in the group today, just so you can benefit from it as well. So she was struggling with trying to take captive or identify the thought she was having that was giving her a negative emotional experience and driving her to show up in ways that wasn't serving her well. It was creating a result she didn't want to create. So she asked, hey, I can't figure out what thought is at the root of this. Like, what am I thinking that's causing this emotion that's driving me to show up in this way that then is giving me this result I don't want to have? So when we have a thought over and over and over in a particular circumstance, our brain will then go, okay, we got this. When we're in this circumstance, we think this thought, and you no longer it'll delegate it to your non-conscious part of your brain, and it basically will run that script on autopilot. And that's why it can be really hard to figure out what we were thinking that caused our emotional experience. So here is my tip for uncovering what that thought is. So, you know what the circumstance is, what the situation is that's triggering this emotional experience. And it's triggering that non-conscious thought that's creating that emotional experience. So you can take the emotion that you're feeling, use that as your indicator, like, oh, okay, now what's the circumstance that I'm feeling this emotion in? And do a thought download about your circumstance. Here's what I mean by a thought download. If you're new to Agape Soul Spa, you might not be familiar with that term. It's basically you write down what you are describing the circumstance as being. And this is really key, because when you start to describe the circumstance and you write it down, you get perspective that you won't have when it's just swirling around in your brain. And what you will then do once you write like a little paragraph or a few sentences that describe the situation in which you're having this emotional experience, then you can look at it, and wherever you see an adjective or an opinion or a judgment, anything like that, that's a thought. And so basically you're going to separate out the facts of the circumstance, which are just the neutral facts that everybody would agree on. So if we assembled, together and we the facts of your circumstance, we would all agree on it. So maybe you and someone else were talking, and then you had this emotional experience of anxiety. And so you would list out the facts. You were there, this other person was there, words were said. Those are the facts. Then all your thoughts about what was said, how it was said, the tone in which it was said, all of that. Anything about which you have an opinion, those are going to be your thoughts. And so when you have them written down on paper, it's so much easier to identify them as either facts or thoughts. So that's my tip for you today. If you have any questions for me, drop those in the comments or leave a post in the group, and I would be happy to help you out. This is really key skill to be able to identify what you're thinking that's creating your emotions that are then driving you to show up in this circumstance this way and create the result you're creating. It's essential to identify what you're thinking so that you can then change it so you can get a better result. But we can't change something that we're not aware of. So try this out. Let me know how it works for you, and I will see you soon. Bye.